get this show on the road. Have you ever seen an advertising ploy that actually worked? Like, I have a thing about modern trailers and how they're always about showing the whole plot of the movie and all this kind of stuff. They're trying to entice you to watch the movie, and it doesn't work for me. There's a lot of gimmicks that they try, and it doesn't work for me anymore. I can't remember the last time I saw a trailer and I was actually like, yeah, this looks amazing, or like, this is gonna convince me to watch the movie. Because sometimes, most of the times, with, say, older, like, franchise movies and whatever, like, they'll have their trailers and they'll try to do their iconic stuff, and I'll be like, I don't really care, because it's like, if I have interest in the franchise, I'll go watch it. Say, some of the latest Marvel films, most likely Guardians, because let's be honest, I didn't care for the rest of the Marvel films that have come out of recent. Then you've got, say, the new Indiana Jones film. I kind of was interested from the get-go. There's the new Mission Impossible film, which is like, well, I love all the Mission Impossible films. I'm, with the detriment of technically 2 and 3, I enjoy them, but they're not great. But it's a bit and bat. It doesn't really matter. But still, it's like, I love from 4 onwards. I love the first one. I want to see these next 2. And it's like, I don't need to see a trailer. And I have seen at least 1 trailer. Maybe 2. I remember seeing, was it Avatar last year in IMAX? Or was it Dune? No, Dune didn't come out last year. I think it was Avatar. They showed a preview for, Mission Impossible, and the whole advertising thing was, hey, we're doing this really incredible stunt where he's driving off a cliff on a motorbike, and we'll see if it works. And the whole thing was, like, outside of it being in the IMAX ratio, they were emphasizing, this is the main stunt of the movie. If it doesn't work, we can't shoot the movie. Basically, in other words, if he dies, at least we haven't shot the rest of the movie, and then it's like, now here's the most, anxiety-inducing part. It's like, no, we'll do that first, and then we'll do the rest of the movie. And, they obviously were able to show that they successfully pulled it off to the point that they did it like 2 more times, just because they could. They knew that it worked. They wanted to get a few more takes just to make sure it all flowed, and that they got the right shot, and they had the enthusiasm to do it again and again and again. And that was like, holy shit. Like, that was like their thing, Like, I think it was it Fallout or I think it was in Fallout. They emphasized the stunt of him jumping a rooftop, which is a very standard stunt in a lot of movies. But the point of the emphasis was the fact that he broke his ankle. This being Tom Cruise, broke his ankle when he made the jump, and they kept in the take. He's been on an interview saying how you watch the scene, it's exactly how it went. You see the part where he breaks his ankle, and then the next shot is like 6 months later where he's recovered and they're able to continue shooting or whatever. So it's like, there is stuff like that where they can make it the advertising ploy. And most of this is, I'm going to be referring to action films, because there's also that Extraction one, that one with the Hemsworth brother, Chris Hemsworth. There are so many. So many Hemsworths. So, I watched the first one the other night with my mate, and, I don't know, we just kind of felt like it. Why not put it on Netflix, whatever. I think they are Netflix films anyway, aren't they? And so, it got to a stage where they had that whole one-shot take. And if you don't know, the movie is an action film. It's basically a poor man's John Wick. And it has this one-shot take that is clearly not filmed in one shot, because there's a lot of obvious edits. And I say obvious because, like, oh, we move into a dark spot, or we move behind Tim's back, or there's just a really weird, like, flip of the camera to, like say a car goes right past the camera. It's like, I know how they do these edits. I've seen breakdowns of how they do these edits. Like, that happened in 1917. That movie, the one-shot movie, that other movie that emphasizes the whole one-shot take was not filmed in one complete shot, obviously. And it's like, what's the point of this stuff? Most of the time it looks terrible. Like, you can get sometimes a really good one take, sure, if you're a really good director with a really good cinematographer and everything else is really top bar. But it's like, watching Extraction, it's like, because my mate Guy was saying, he's like, hey, isn't this that, like, one-shot take? And then I realized, oh yeah, this has been a one-shot take for, like, the past 3 minutes. They haven't cut. And then it kept going, and it kept going, and it kept going. And we were discussing how that was like the key marketing thing back when the film came out. I think even the new one has a really long one shot take that goes for like 20 to 30 minutes or some bullshit like that. Like we need the gimmick to sell the movie. And it didn't interest me to watch the movie initially. We only watched the first one because we were bored and couldn't find anything to watch. So we just watched Extraction 1 because the new one's out and apparently it's good. And yet we haven't watched it yet. But then you get to Mission Impossible, and like I saw Indiana Jones last night, and there was nothing in the advertising that I saw emphasized, we got a gimmick. The gimmick was look, Indy's back. That's it. That's the whole gimmick. And I'm like, alright, fine, whatever. But before it, they showed the trailer for the new Indiana Jones. But before the film, they showed the trailer for the new Mission Impossible film. Now, I've seen this trailer before. I've seen probably 2 of the trailers for the movie, which doesn't actually annoy me because it's like they don't show the plot in those trailers for the movie, and I love that. They're like, fuck it, we're just gonna show all this cool shit that we're gonna do. This will convince you to watch the movie. Ideally, I don't think they really show a plot trailer like they do for standard movies or for every other goddamn movie. I'm pretty sure they've even done that for the latest Indiana Jones film. And so it's funny because it got to the point where, you had that big stunt of him, going up. In this case, it actually shows you him going up a mountaintop, whatever, even though it's, in real life, it was just a bridge, like a little thing that he went up, But he still does it, and they show him doing the jump and jumping off a cliff. And I was sitting with my brother and his girlfriend, and my brother's girlfriend was like, she doesn't care for the Mission Impossible films, doesn't care for Tom Cruise. I have friends that are like that. It's completely fine. If you don't like an actor, you don't want to watch their films, whatever. And so she's watching it, and she's like, but why does he do it? And I was like confused initially. I'm like, what, you mean like why does he do the jump? She's like, yeah, why does he do the jump? Like, what's so important about him jumping off a cliff, And I'm like, I didn't have a discussion about it, but I thought about it, and I realized it's the catch. It's what's meant to get you in. You're like, oh shit, that's an impressive stunt. And especially because they've emphasized through other like teaser trailers showing you how it's a real stunt and they've actually done it. And it's like, yeah, why does he do that stunt? Why? What leads up to him doing this stunt? And suddenly you think about it and you're like, God, it's a Mission Impossible film. What's going to get him to do that stunt? I want to see him do that stunt. I want to see why he does that stunt. And there you go. I think that's like surprisingly a decent selling point. Why does he do this insane stunt? It seems like it's completely out of context with the rest of the movie. It's not in any of the cities. It doesn't have any other characters in it. Why does he need to drive up a cliff and jump off of a goddamn motorbike in the middle of the air? Why does he need to do that? I want to know, why does he need to do that? And it's an interesting thing because you contrast that with the Extraction thing of the whole, look, there's a one-shot take, it's all this, but like the emphasis being it's a one-shot, and you're like, oh, I want to see what they are able to pull off. I'm not. That's the complete opposite thing where they're trying to emphasize it's a one-shot take, you're going to see it, it's going to be amazing, you're going to be, oh my god, jaw dropped. I haven't seen a good one-shot take in a movie in years because I don't care. Some one-shots, as in, I think there have been some good ones in recent years that I haven't seen, more than likely. I'm pretty sure I watched a video, maybe it was someone's 2022 roundup video, and they mentioned the film that, like, the majority of it is, like, a one-shot take in, like, the first, like, 40 minutes or whatever, but it's so well executed that it just works. Like, I think because the whole point of it is meant to be set in, like, one night kind of deal. There is a movie called Victoria, which is exactly like that. The whole entire movie is, like, one whole complete continuous take because they actually filmed it that way, because that's the point of the movie. It's meant to create this like anxiety because it completely builds and builds and there's no release of tension, much like that Safdie brothers movie Good Time. It's like that, the whole concept of it's set in one night, it's this kind of anxiety, after hours, all this kind of stuff. Like, you could take the concept of that and put it in this new filming language, this trickier filming language. Like, it's easy enough to film something like After Hours in the terms of you have different takes, you can do it on different nights, all that kind of stuff. As long as it's filmed at nighttime and it looks, consistent, you can pull it off. Not to mention they go into buildings, into apartments, into nightclubs and that kind of stuff. But it feels like it's all on the same night, narratively. And that's what allows for the tension and the anxiety, and that's why it works. For something like Victoria, I imagine it's the exact same thing. But then you look at Extraction, I'm like, this isn't a good selling point for me. Like, oh look at this incredible one-shot take. But you know who's saying that? Is it fans? Is it people? Random Joes? No, it's Netflix. They're like, oh, look at this one-shot take. Look at how impressive this is. Go watch the movie. Look at how impressive it is. It's not a discourse thing. They're trying to make it a discourse thing. I think even Pixar had that recent thing. Oh, I should say Disney, let's be honest. With that new Elemental film, and how they were like, hey, look, here's this one character who pops up in the movie for like 3 minutes. Let's make a whole advertising campaign around him. Be like, look, this is when everyone was surprised and happy to see this character show up. He's literally a lump of dirt. That's become a marketing technique. Because as an overall, this is all about the gimmick of marketing. And it can be a bit tricky. Obviously, marketing your movie is very difficult these days because there are I think it's always been difficult, but there are different values to it. There's obviously the value of the teaser trailer, which now is the teaser trailer starts in 5 seconds. Let's show you all this other stuff before the trailer starts, even though it's all the fucking trailer. I really don't want to get into the logic of trailers. We all know how shitty trailers are. But it's this one gimmick moment. This one thing to really hook you in, hook, line, and sinker. Like they've emphasized posters. They've emphasized, 30-second trailers, 10-second spots, a 5-second clip on goddamn Instagram Reels, on TikTok. Just stuff to get you into it. You see it for 5 seconds, you scroll up, but then it stays in your mind. It's not a trailer starts now. It's he drives up a thing and jumps off a cliff. And it's just like, oh shit, alright, next video. Then you think about it a couple of days later, like, damn, I just saw a clip of Tom Cruise driving off a goddamn cliff. Why does he do that? But it's just that kind of thing. Like, I'm already going to see the film. I've already bought my tickets to see it in IMAX. I don't give a shit. It's not I need to be convinced to watch the movie. A lot of the time, I don't need to be convinced to watch a movie through trailers. Sometimes it could just be actors alone, premise, idea alone. Like, a lot of the times you look at the latest Jennifer Lawrence film, The No Hard Feelings, and the whole factor of, oh my god, look, the whole gimmick with this is it's Jennifer Lawrence in a hard R comedy. It's MA15 plus in Australia. Yeah, our review board is not that harsh. Yeah, sure, there's full body nudity, but it's like, nah, our review board don't give a shit. That's just MA, baby. I love when that happens, like when we get like R18 films from America, when they still have like the Blu-rays emphasize like this is R18, like maybe it's the start of the film or the very end, it has the classification, and then you just get like the Australian Blu-ray says MA15 plus, strong nudity in themes. What the fuck does themes mean, my guy? You gotta be specific. So it's amusing to see something like that, because like that for me was a film I went and saw it with my friend. I was interested to see it, ironically actually because of the trailer to some degree, but it was a kind of a 50-50. Half of it was a lot of the people saying how it's back to like, classic, I wouldn't say romantic comedies, but, comedies that are actually funny, that are trying something. For me, it's the kind of thing where, and I did watch the film and I looked at it and I'm like, I enjoyed it. It was one of those, I've seen this exact plot, but like with slight differences, obviously, because of modern times, all this kind of stuff. But it doesn't matter. It's, again, I saw a guy and even he was like, it's the kind of comedy you've seen before, but it's also like, as long as the jokes are different and they're funny, it doesn't really matter. Same as he said for action films. Like a lot of the action films you've seen before, but as long as the action is interesting and unique to some degree, like there's something unique about it, even if the plot is exactly the same stuff, you just want something different in your action, So that was a movie that, yeah, most of the advertising for me that got me into watching the movie was people talking about it and saying how it's returned to this kind of form, which I don't really care much about that, but I'm like, I kind of want to see it. It seems like a funny film, I guess. And then obviously the opening of the trailer, her walking into a veterinarian clinic, the kid's there. I didn't even know he was working there in the film. I thought he was just there with his dog, and she mentions how she likes his wiener, and he's like, what? And she's obviously talking about the dog, because it's a dog. And I'm like, okay, this seems interesting. Like, I've already, like, that was like as a hook got me immediately. What not even the what the point of the movie is, what the plot of the movie is, what the movie's about. The fact that it's about a 30-year-old woman dating a 19-year-old to get him out of his shell so she can get a car. That's the plot of the. That's the premise of the movie. I keep forgetting plot and premise are two different things. They are. It's the premise of the movie, and I'm like, cool. I did not know that was the premise until like a day before I saw the movie, and I was like, okay, I'm down with that. It sounds interesting. But yeah, so modern trailers are definitely tricky as it is. But yeah, it just kind of surprised me how that was the contrast of the hook in this case. I didn't want to watch the trailers for No Hard Feelings or whatever. I think when they initially started showing the trailers, I'd seen a couple seconds of it. That was the main part, and then I'm like, okay, I'm interested, not sold, but then eventually was sold on it later, and obviously bought tickets and saw it and had a blast of a time, compared to what I would have expected from watching the Flash movie, a movie I have not seen, I don't plan to ever watch, maybe on a streaming service, assuming I don't have to pay that much. I don't want to rent it, I don't want to give them money, I can't think of what streaming service it would be on in Australia, I feel like it would be on HBO or something like that, but in America, because of the Zack Snyder's Justice League and whatever, I imagine it would be on Binge in Australia eventually, and I'm probably happy to wait for that, which still is bad because compression streaming and it's going to look like crap anyway because it's mostly CGI slosh, but also they really tried their advertising techniques of, look, it's Batman, look, it's Supergirl, and I'm watching a trailer for it, I think I was in cinema and the trailer came on, and I'm watching it why would they show this stuff? Why would they show that Batman's in it? Why would they show that Supergirl's in it? Why would they show that Zod's in it? All this stuff that I'm why would they show this? Shouldn't this be the surprise of the movie until you realize, nope, it's the second act. And that's a funny thing too. I saw someone talk about how they went and saw it, God knows why, but they were sitting through the whole first 45 minutes of it waiting for Batman to show up because they would I don't give a shit about the Flash or the other Flash. They wanted to see Batman. They had to sit through the whole, this whole portion of a movie, maybe a third of the movie before Batman shows up. And then when he does show up, you're oh yeah, it's Batman. And the other character's oh my god, it's Batman. And you're yeah, I've seen the trailer. I know how you react. Let's get on with it, you've seen scenes like that. If it was just random shots of Batman fighting, hanging out with the guys, and not the introductory part because you need to land the comedy beats. In a trailer, mind you. Imagine that. You have a movie that has comedy beats, not the No Hard Feelings one that's actually a comedy, but also, I don't know why I want to watch a trailer for that, because it would show all the jokes. That's another reason I didn't really fully watch the trailer. But you get the trailer for the Flash movie, and you've got this element of, hey, look, we're gonna show all these gags. That's funny. Come watch the movie, because it's funny. And I'm this is one of those things where if no one has watched the trailer and you go in and they're shocked by Batman, they're laughing at all these jokes that you saw in the trailer, and I was really? That's what's getting you? I saw that in the trailer. I'm not amused by it anymore. It didn't land for me in the trailer. It hasn't landed for me now. I think I saw the same thing with Spider-Verse. I saw one of the trailers for it, and when I went to see it with my mate, he laughed at a particular moment, which was the end of one of the trailers. It's the therapy session where, there's one of the Spider-Man talking to another Spider-Man about how he's sad because his uncle died, and then it's the middle of an action set piece, and then stuff just kind of happens. And my mate found that very funny because he hadn't seen a trailer for it, so he hadn't seen that part, so he thought that was really funny. I'm I still think it's amusing. It's just, I knew where it was going because I've seen the trailer. So, yeah. It's a curiosity of mine, because it's I'm semi-interested to watch the Flash movie. I love the Michael Keaton Batman. I don't really care to watch whatever representation of this it is, even if they make him look cooler because they can use a stunt double and CGI to make him look impressive. I'm I don't really care. That doesn't interest me. On the other hand, I would love to see that Supergirl, though. She looks I would have loved to have seen the movie just for her, but I don't think she's in very much of it, because she's a prisoner, and then she isn't, and then she has a costume. And I imagine she's there for the final fight, and then that's the movie. She doesn't get much of a character or anything. I'm like, I don't really care to watch it if she's like that, you know, if she's so a little portion of the movie, even if she's a major part of the promotion, because you got to emphasize all the major heroes. Look, it's Flash and Batman and Flash and Supergirl and Flash. How many Flashes do you need? I know it's a Flashpoint movie, but still. Anyway, see that movie's hook was Batman. It's Batman. Look, it's Batman. But no, it's not just that Batman. It's also that Batman and that Batman. And spoiler alert, it's also that Batman and that Batman and that Batman and that Batman. And also that Superman and that Superman. Yeah, I know. When I found out they brought back dead actors and cameos, I'm like, I'm not watching this shit. That is not even the main reason I wasn't going to watch it, but I'm not watching it. So, hence why I'm okay to watch it for free. I'm not paying them dog shit. They're not getting my money. Anyway, yeah, let me know if you've seen any modern current trailers that have hooked you in. What's been the hook for you? Because you got to have a hook in a trailer sometimes. Sometimes it's just the basic principle of the concept, and sometimes it's as simple as, hey, look, stunt work. And sometimes it's as simple as, hey, look, franchise. You know, look, familiar characters. Look, Indy, he's back. He's got his whip and his hat. He uses his whip twice in that movie, and he looks really weird when he uses it when he's older. It just looks really out of place. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.